Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'll be reacting to Thresh's No Man's Sky, the comeback that broke the industry. Send some views over there, small channel, but with a great video here. I agree. I started watching it like 5 minutes in. I thought, hey, this is pretty good. Let's share this with the community and see what everyone thinks.
You cannot kill hookers in No Man's Sky for a refund, but I still believe it's one of the most polarizing games since Vice City. Now that might be aging myself a little bit, but hear me out. No Man's Sky literally broke the gaming industry, and I hold it responsible for about 30% of what's actually wrong with the current gaming industry. I'm not going to go into a huge deep dive of what happened to No Man's Sky because we've already heard it. I'm going to go through a brief overview, show a few examples, and then I'll introduce something I like to call No Man Syndrome. No Man's Sky Syndrome. No Man's Sky Syndrome. Something. At E3 in 2014, our Lord and Savior Sean Murray revealed the most massive, jaw-dropping, unforgettable, and unique trailer for a video game the world has ever seen. And that video game was called No...
I love how Star Citizen people call Chris Roberts their Lord and Savior, even though the guy has done the exact opposite of this guy. Anyway.
Man's Sky. You might have heard of it. Now, instead of using the technology of the day to make just another FPS or MOBA with slightly better graphics from last year, Sean Murray and Hello Games decided to use that technology and computing power and the modern machines to do a bunch of crazy calculations to come up with a procedural universe. That universe had quintillions of solar systems, each solar system with one or more planets, and each planet with variations of life in the form of creatures, plants. They all had their own geology and weather systems. It was unprecedented, and the 9-year-old in me was screaming with excitement.
Holy Santa Claus shit.
Something like that has never been done before, and nothing like that has been done since. Whether you like the game, hate the game, love the game, or you've never even heard of the game, I find that one hard to believe. This is a technical feat that nobody can ignore, and Hello Games kept silent after this reveal until the next E3 where Sean Murray decided to show off some gameplay. And this was yet another jaw-dropping experience for everybody at E3, as well as everybody watching on YouTube after.
And I'm going to pull back a little bit more to give you a sense of the size of the game. But when I do, I really need you to keep in mind, to understand that every one of these points of light is a sun. And every one of those suns has its own solar system with planet-sized planets orbiting around it. Those have life, ecology.
It's like a Muppet.
And I could even go a little faster.
That's pretty wild. The idea that each one of those dots, and it is like that, it is true. Each one of those dots, it's a solar system, and there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 planets and moons, and of course there's a space station, but they managed to make it look different from the outside even though on the inside they're the same, unless it's one of the pirate ones. It is a pretty incredible thing.
This is where I personally started to take major interest in the game, so much so that I sold my Xbox and built a PC because No Man's Sky wouldn't release on Xbox at the time, and it was never planned to be on Xbox at the time. So in a way, I guess I could thank No Man's Sky for making me get into PC gaming and ditch my console. Little did I know that my hopes would be shattered on August 9th, 2016. With millions of others.
Guys, 2016, and look at where we are now. 2016. Look what Chris Roberts has done. Look what these guys have done with No Man's Sky.
The game was nothing like the E3 trailers. It had a lot of things that Sean Murray himself said would be in the game that weren't, and the game was boring, lifeless, meaningless, and it looked bad. Now, I know that Sean Murray said that they used that technology to build a procedural system instead of making the graphics look great. However, in the state that No Man's
This right there, this sort of thing, is what you see for all of the bitches that are commenting angry about oh, it's super realistic stuff. This kind of crappy thing is what you see today when you land in a planet. In one of the 4 planets in Star Citizen, that's all you have. And you don't have any. Star Citizen is, as of right now, worse than No Man's Sky was in launch in terms of graphics, in terms of how much life you have. Even then, you don't have anything. You have, for people that think, oh, but super realistic, no, it's not. You land, you get close to it, and it all just disappears. It looks like dog shit. The water's still crap. Clouds, for all of the paint that it puts on your PC, still all shit. You may get a nice sunset every once in a while, but once you look closer, it is fucking awful. The idea of only having two animals that don't do a damn thing, a bird and a dog, that are completely pointless and useless, and you compare that to what you compare it to what you have now. You have to be part of a cult to believe that's better than what you have right now in No Man's Sky.
Guy released that procedural generation was not enough to carry the game. This led to many angry customers. Lots of people asking for
I didn't buy when it first came out. I knew about the billion planets, but I always was, okay, what is it that you have in them? And when I saw, I didn't buy it right away. I waited, and when I saw how people were disappointed, it kind of checked out, because it was just too much to be true. How could you possibly make something that big at the same time be interesting? And at some point, basically what people realized later on, it sounded fantastic, but I didn't buy it because I was still wondering, how are you going to avoid having a million of the same, you know? At some point, that should be a problem, right?
refunds, and Steam even offering refunds to anybody, even if you played more than 2 hours. There were people on Reddit who played over 24 hours and still got that Steam refund.
Yeah, you will have
a lot of
all
people
that.
pointed out some of the lies that Sean had told about the game. It left everybody wondering, why would you lie so much? One of the most common things that gets brought up is this interview that Sean Murray did with Game Informer called 70 Questions or something like that. And this is where Sean can get caught telling many lies, such as...
So do you often go to planets and you're just like, well, this is just a total dud?
No, not that often.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
I love how us Star Citizen people, we lost track of basic human interaction. We think that's a lie. The guy saying, I'm not bored. That's personal opinion of his. Probably he's just being the guy of No Man's Sky, as he is. Why would he say, yeah, there's planets that are shit? And it's completely understandable. I would actually like to see a lot more planets. Like, I don't know, I'm not saying half of them, but let's say like 1 out of 10 planets, maybe 2 out of 5, 2 out of 10 or so, have nothing at all other than minerals. That's what real space is. So even though it's still a game, and I'm not going to be that dumbass that thinks, oh, you have to imitate. No, but a little bit less life at times, in fact, would be interesting.
Will you be able to play with your friends?
Yeah.
You're a fibber.
I'm a what?
Fibber.
Okay.
Liar.
Will I get bored playing this game?
No.
You're lying! Liar!
And that last one really hit, because when the game launched,
That none of those are lies. Lying is what Chris Roberts does. He says you'll see this before the end of the year. You'll see this, or just we're working on this. All of those true, 100% lies. He knows he's lying. He says it all the time. They even stop saying any kind of date or year, and they're still lying about what they're doing and what you can do in game. Those are damn lies. That what he just said, that's a matter of him being the guy behind the game, and of course not shitting on his own work, which is super understandable. All of the things that they were asked, you could easily say, yeah, no, I'm not getting bored, you can multiplay. All of that is in fact true. Even though, yes, at some point when they started, you would go to the same place and not find each other. That was a long time ago, man.
it was really boring. There was no story, nothing really worth doing. 90% of the planets looked like lumpy, half-cooked meatballs.
True,
And despite the game being multiplayer and being able to play with your friends, and Sean saying that the chances of two people ever seeing each other or being in the same place is close to none. But there was an instance shortly after launch where 2 people had lined up their streams to find out that they were in the
You could go into the water from the start. I didn't know that. That's pretty nice.
exact same spot on the exact same planet, and they couldn't see each other.
So they had multiplayer activated, I assume, because if not, you will not see anyone else. But with multiplayer activated, they would not find each other. Man, that was when it first came out.
Hello Games buckled down They went practically radio silent, and people thought that they had took the money and ran. And then the updates came.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have all day, so let's speed
Dude.
through this. No Man's Sky, as of the writing of this video, has about 26 updates, not including the multiple expeditions that they've introduced to the game. Let's start from the beginning. Foundation added base building. Pathfinder added vehicles, base sharing, and a permadeath mode. Atlas Rising overhauled the story, added portals and procedural missions. No Man's Sky Next added a real multiplayer, extended base building, freighter armadas, and a graphical overhaul. Abyss added aquatic improvements and an overhaul to bodies of water. Visions added more variety to the proceduralism, is that a word? New biomes, colorful worlds, and more. Beyond expanded the multiplayer even more. They added VR support and many more overhauls to game systems. Synthesis added a bunch of community quality of life improvements. Living Ship added a quest to obtain a ship that is a living alien itself. Exo Mech.
That's so badass.
They added mechs, I guess, and other exocraft vehicles. And then they added crossplay, so you could play with your friends no matter what platform they were on, minus Switch at the time. Desolation added a spooky derelict ship raid that you could do. Yeah. Had a light horror aspect to it. Origins expanded the universe even more, and it added even more variety, new terrain generation, new weather and buildings.
Yeah, I was surprised the first time because I had played No Man's Sky a few years, 3-4 years ago, but the first time I saw a volcano erupt next to me, that was very nice, very cool.
Next generation update added more graphical enhancements,
looks awesome.
Gameplay. They added the capability for bigger bases and faster warping speeds, aka loading screens. Companion update added the ability to recruit alien creatures to follow you around, help you in combat, and you could also breed them. Expeditions added public missions that had exclusive rewards you can only get during the expeditions. They were very community driven, and they were only available for certain amounts of time.
Community driven, and these are missions in which you get rewards like ships, gear, stuff that stays with you, but the kind of thing we never will have in Star Citizen. You know you will never get a unique, cool ship as a reward in Star Citizen. We will never see a game in Star Citizen, but beyond that, you will never see worthy rewards. Look what they did with the CCU reward. After hours and hours of playing, you get a CCU. You still have to spend $150 before you even use it. It is fucking insulting.
Prisms added new features and tech, more visual effects improvements, better lighting, and creature improvements as well. Frontiers added settlements so that you could take over and harass, defend your people from the Sentinels. The Sentinel update added personal Sentinel companions, new weapon systems and stories. Outlaws added cool new ships and essentially added some sort of black market pirate gameplay system. Endurance added a better freighter base building, space storms, nebulas, and other freight.
That's a ship interior. When would you ever see this in Star Citizen? Oh, but it's a real ship. No, it's not. It's still a video game. It's not a real ship. Get that over your head. Yeah, get that in there. Finally accept that it's a video game. You can do this. It is extremely nice to have your capital ship actually be a capital ship. Capital ships in No Man's Sky behave more like actual capital ships than they do in Star Citizen, because this is what a capital ship is supposed to be. Oh, but you can't pilot it and crash it. Yeah, okay, you have that. That is this significant within the entire context of what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a base. It's supposed to be something that you can actually get from one system to another. Oh, you don't have another system to take it to. Okay, well, then that's a big loss. On the other hand, you can do that. You can manage your fleet. You can have NPCs walk around and do shit. You can have 90% of what we are supposed to have in Star Citizen while not having I crashed my capital ship against stuff. Pointless. How often do you do that? What would be the advantage of that compared to having this instead?
Improvements. Waypoint added the Switch release and system overhauls. Fractal focused a lot on PlayStation VR and VR support in general. Interceptor added new Sentinels to fight with the ability to hijack their tech. Echoes expanded the alien race that arrived in the Interceptor update, also added new missions. The Orbital update overhauled space stations and finally added ship customization. Oh my god, that's the only thing I wanted out of this game was ship customization. And finally, Worlds Part 1 The current version of No Man's Sky that you've been seeing blowing up all over. Streamers and creators that would have never touched the game are now singing its praises, and this again overhauls graphics, world generation.
It's like 5-6 times more popular right now than Star Citizen. And this is from Google Trends. It's not an opinion of mine. You can go check it out yourself. Usually that what's going to show is how well the game is doing, how many people are playing. That's basically linked to how many searches it has. If someone is not searching for you, it means that you're not significant, that you're not relevant, that there's less people playing. And you see this very clearly reflected when there's like big spikes of, for example, when Planets was first launched, part 1, it just went like 20 times more than Star Citizen, or 50 or something insane like that. So it peaked and then went back to the previous level or a little bit above that. It is hugely popular, especially compared to Star Citizen, which is Star Citizen is right now at a 3-year low in popularity. It is not going to be good in terms of numbers and in terms of players, and I feel that myself as a player. You can't force yourself to play Star Citizen right now. That bad it is. So, yeah, there's no comparison.
The water behavior, wind and storm behavior, new creatures, new mech, living buildings, or aka buildings with legs. You can land your ship on water now. They added a Helldivers mission and lots of more quality of life improvements. And once again, we got a good update from our Lord and Savior, Sean Murray, who has mentioned that they are using tech for their upcoming game. He said bringing tech back from the future and bringing it into No Man's Sky, which is really unusual. Typically, a studio making a new IP will kind of, at some point, stop working on their old game and just focus on developing their new game. However, since the engine seems to be either the same or very similar.
That's usually what you do in terms of when the marketing guy, when the sales guy, shows up and says, no, we're using all of that work for this new product. That's the hook. We want them to bite on this new thing. We will give them the new tech in the new game, which they will have to buy. And that's when the guy that has the dream, the ambition, the drive, when you have someone that actually believes in himself and is not just a video game old used car salesman says, yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's just put everything on the new game, let the old one die so as to have people buy this one. No, that's the difference between the dreamer, the greatness, the guy that goes beyond, and the mediocre, greedy fuck that says, right? That's the difference. One guy will go full throttle, believe in himself and in his game, and in his games, plural, and the other one will see, how much money can I get out of people? Okay, let's do that. The other one will say, how can I make everything that I do better? Okay, let's do that instead. We'll bring the technology we're working on a new game to our current one, to No Man's Sky. We'll make No Man's Sky even more awesome, even though we're about to launch a new game with this technology. That, guys, is amazing. It is so rare these days. It's only a handful of people that have that belief, that trust in themselves to be awesome no matter what. Chris Roberts is not the kind of person, in case you haven't noticed. The guys from Hello Games definitely are.
Especially if you look at the trailer for Light No Fire and how it looks awfully close to like a single world No Man's Sky. It makes sense that they would use some of the new stuff.
Look how great this thing looks. Comparing this to what you have in Star Citizen, you should be ashamed of even comparing these two. Look how nice this looks.
To keep the devoted fans of No Man's Sky happy. And that, my friends, is how No Man's Sky went from
What? What the fuck?
To
well edited there, Thricious. I'll leave the link there below in the description for you guys who hop into his channel.
Now, I love this game.
It is
And
nice.
between Steam and more recently PS5, I've gotten about 600 to 800 hours into the game. I take longer.
That ship, that cool ship that you see and say, hey man, where can I buy that? No. You don't buy it. You do expeditions. These are the time limited. These are rewards. These are things that you see someone have, and you either got it yourself or maybe you got it shared by someone else. But ideally, it's a thing you got from doing the expedition yourself. It's a reward ship for playing and finishing missions, guys.
breaks and come back during some of the big updates, and I've advocated to my friends about this game, and you may have had a similar experience where you say, have you played No Man's Sky, or do you want to play No Man's Sky? And then they say something like, well, doesn't the game suck, or didn't they have like a terrible launch? And then you struggle to explain to them why it's good now because there's just too much to keep track of. Now that it's seeing play and coverage by bigger names and streamers, now might be the best time to get your friends to join you on this journey. And I know that I'm going to be hopping back on if I can ever get this video finished. However, this is where the praise for No Man's Sky ends for now. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I attribute about 30% of my major issues with the current gaming industry to No Man's Sky. The other 30% is on microtransactions, and the last 40% of my issues are with Game Pass. Yeah, like and sub if you want that video. Now, since No Man's Sky, we have seen many more attempts at what Hello Games has achieved, and most of which have failed miserably. No, I'm not talking about huge procedural universes or tech. I'm talking about No Man's Syndrome. No Man's Sky Syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's when you have an undercooked game and you release it anyways with the promise of fixing it later. No Man's Sky is the most successful zero-to-hero story in gaming that I can think of in recent memory.
Yeah.
And since then, we've had such failure launches like Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem, Fallout 76, Cyberpunk 2077, Redfall, and the latest Suicide Squad game. Now, Mass Effect was a hilarious mess at launch, and they never really truly fixed the game. Anthem bombed out of the gate, and EA had a redemption roadmap planned, but it was canned not even a year after announcing it. Fallout 76 was a disaster in both the game and the sketchy marketing practices, but Bethesda released a bunch of free updates and expansions, and they finally just released their first paid expansion this summer. That game has one of the best communities with some of the friendliest random gamers I've ever met. And then we know all about Cyberpunk.
Can't deny it, it's all true. But everybody still wants to live here. This city's always got a promise for you.
T-posting.
Might be a lie.
That game finally turned a new leaf and released a 2.0 update with DLC that kicked all kinds of ass. And then sadly we have Redfall, a tragic story of a single player.
I played Cyberpunk the day it came out on like PlayStation 3. It was not great, lots of bugs, very clearly so. I still enjoyed it. I mean, I get why people were crying and complaining like crazy. I don't want to use the word crying, sounds stupid. But I understand how people were mad and angry, and yes, it was buggy. I mean, none of them just ruined the game for me. I enjoyed it a lot, even though it was far from perfect. Yeah, definitely the most flawed game at launch that I had ever played, but it was still original and awesome enough that I enjoyed it. So yeah, everyone has a bit of a different take depending on your tolerance to this kind of thing.
Studio that was forced into making a multiplayer live service game. They promised to fix it, but the studio got shut down about a year after release, and they never really got a chance to pull off a No Man's Sky comeback, or a Fallout 76 for that matter. And then there's Suicide Squad. I don't really think that one's going to make it either. Now, these are just a few of the AAA examples from companies that have the resources to buckle down and fix a game, but in some cases they just give up within a year or two. How is Hello Games able to pull this off as an indie studio? Or even CD Projekt Red as a smaller Polish studio? But large corporations like EA or Bethesda can't do the same for their beloved franchises. This process of release bad game, apologize for bad game, promise to fix bad game, and never follow through with bad game has become way too common. And while Sean Murray isn't forcing companies to release bad games and promise to fix them, I think that the comeback story of No Man's Sky has made the egos of these larger studios stand out. Maybe behind the scenes in some management meeting, they're all saying, well, if Hello Games can do it, then we sure can. But unfortunately, it's the developers that take all the heat, or, the boots on the ground. They're the ones that have to pay for everything. They're the ones that get laid off, and they're the ones that get yelled at on Twitter. I think that the reason that Hello Games was able to fix this dumpster fire of a release into the beautiful sci-fi experience that it is today is passion.
Yeah.
You can watch videos from 10 years ago and see the passion in Sean Murray's soul when he talked about the game.
Yeah.
I think No Man's Sky has succeeded after all this time because they care about the game. They care about the gamers. and they care about the world and community that they have built. Hello Games hasn't asked for a single dime. You can't even buy in-game currency in the one game that I would be totally fine with paying for in-game currency, since I can't really find the time to grind the Quicksilver most of the time. I think they succeeded because they didn't charge $60 for a game at a store with $20 to $30.
$25, guys. I paid $25 for No Man's Sky. I had bought it before for the PlayStation, but I agree with him when it's the passion and dedication and belief in others, but mostly belief in yourself that you can do something awesome that people will appreciate. That's what it comes down to. Now, when you had that for a little bit, when you are just mediocre in terms of how much you believe in yourself and others and what you're doing, you have Star Citizen. You have a great start, and people, yes, take my money, I will buy your ships. There's no point in buying the. Why would you buy any? Even if you had the ships for, what are you gonna do with the ships in Star Citizen? Nothing. There's no point in any of that. There's no exploration. Combat is terrible now with master modes. Even a large ship for cargo and hauling, it's pointless with a horrible system we now have. Why? Well, because they focus only on making money, on going for the next ship sale. And people have been stupid enough, but they don't quite understand that there's always a breaking point, and that breaking point is here already.
Our skins charge $40 for each DLC. I don't know how they're even actually making money, and for all I know, Hello Games could just be in the red, but the passion is clearly there, and that's why only they have been able to do what they have done. Now, I appreciate anyone who's gotten to the end of this video. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what your favorite or least favorite part of No Man's Sky is in the comments. Good luck out there, interlopers. Until next time.
Awesome. Well done, well edited, well presented, all of the points, everything just nice. And I agree with him when I don't agree with him. I was about to say 100%, but no, I don't agree with him in terms of it broke the industry. No, companies have been doing this all along. The idea of launching a shitty game. I mean, they're doing it right now with Star Wars Outlaws. It's gonna be shit. You can tell that. But they pay companies, they pay influencers and YouTubers and IGN promoting this as if it's not even a paid advertising that they're doing, which is obviously the case. But then you have people that believe in what they're doing, and these are the people that should be brought front of the stage and say, yeah, this is damn awesome, congratulations, and this is what you enjoy the most. Guys, all for now, see you in our next video. Take care.